Three, two, one,
Zero.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
Get ready, y'all. We about to Bobby Boucher you. Bam!
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Odysseer Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I've built something.
Don the Train Watson.
Never slap a man in the face chewing tobacco.
Joey the Riot Terrier.
Cochon de lait will make you smack your lips and anyone getting too close to your plate.
Luke Beerslinger Berry.
I know there's a certain look that I'm trying to go for.
And Chip Shegman Carlisle. And now broadcasting alive, it's the Knives Templars. Coming to you live from Porkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama, and other U.S. locations. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are the coolest knife-making podcast on the planet, and we are downloaded around this big blue marble in over 24 countries. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at knivestemplars.com. So, hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Knives Templars. Guys, I think we're at episode 17 of season 2, and exciting week. We've got a new Maker's Mark guest on here, Joe Dees out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Hey, we're glad you're here. Hey, Don, how are you doing?
Doing great, Chip. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good, good. Odysseer?
Hanging in there, man. Happy to be here.
What are you drinking tonight, Odysseer?
Corona Extra.
Corona Extra. Eric Rivers?
How's it going?
Hey, drinking a glass of water, Eric. Staying hydrated.
Oh, yeah. You know it. Hydrated.
Yep. Luke?
Hanging in there like a bug in a rug.
All right. And guys, this is Chip Carlisle. We got you with the Knives Templars this evening. And so got some interesting updates. Our buddy Chris Jones has taken a sabbatical from the Knives Templars because he is experiencing that last final year of high school with his kids. And son's getting ready to head off to college. I think it was Texas Tech. Is that correct, Eric Rivers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Texas Tech. And so he's stepped away to enjoy all those football Friday nights. And also our buddy Matthew Rich is got baby number 3 on the way. You may have heard on the last couple of episodes. So he's stepping away to help prepare for his family for that wonderful new baby that's coming on. But if you heard me say hello to Luke Berry and Don Watson. Luke, we met old Luke on a few episodes ago, and Luke comes to us as a wonderful knife maker. He owns Strawberry Blossom Knives. Is that what it's called? Oh, Barry Blade Works. Well, I think you missed out on a great opportunity for a name there. But Luke's also coming to us. He's employed over at Pop's Knife Supplies, and he is such a knowledgeable. And I don't want to call him a young knife maker because once guys get in their mid-20s, they don't like being called young anymore. But Luke, when you're my age, young's not such a bad word. But you got so many wonderful years ahead of you, and that's what makes the rest of us jealous. And for your age, you make gorgeous knives. And what I mean by that, you make knives is better than a lot of the guys I've seen out there at Blade Show where I met you at. And you're just good at what you do. Natural talent. I think it runs in your family. And we've got Don the Train Watson, I believe. And Don, you were on a previous episode. You paid the $5,000 to be on our podcast and had a good episode with you. Yeah. And no, I'm just kidding. Don is retired and down in Florida, and because he has a swimming pool, and if we ever have a get together, Don has said that, hey, have it here. You can all sleep in my shop and bathe in my pool. So we met him on, and Don is now a Knives Templar. He's a host with us. So welcome, Luke and Don. You're both wonderful knife makers, very knowledgeable in what you do. Tickled to death to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Well, you're not having us now. You're part of us. So congratulations. We're glad you're on. We are glad you're on. Hey, guys, let me let you know what's on the menu this week for you guys that came on here looking for something good to eat this week. We have got a new segment called the Brew of the Week. So whether it's a beer or a wine, Otis here is our little wine connoisseur on the show, or and beer connoisseur. But if we may let you know a little bit about what we're enjoying. And we've also got some knife news. We've got a round table. We have our Maker's Mark series. And Joe, did I introduce you yet? I think I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Hey,
yeah, I did.
I
said, here, we've got some questions that have come in from the internet tonight. And then we're going to hit on a couple subjects called the art of sanding to a desired finish. And we've got some, how do you get that satin finish or that gloss finish or, that belt finish that you're looking for? We're going to have some information on that, along with the art of making bolsters or the way of making bolsters. And then we'll just kind of head on out and talk about what we plan on doing here the next couple of weeks. So, guys, does that sound like a full meal?
Sounds good.
Yep. Let's do it.
I think we're going to be good. Well, like every good meal, you got to start off with some good libations. And you guys see me holding a nice big glass here. And I am drinking some Knob Creek Special Reserve Single Barrel Bourbon from the state of Kentucky. And let me tell you, that stuff is good. I got turned on to it at deer camp last weekend. A friend of mine brought that bottle and put that in front of me, and I'm mostly a Maker's Mark drinker. And when he put that in front of me, I don't want to say I fell in love with a bottle of liquor. I just developed a new appreciation for a very fine product. And I will tell you, after drinking it, those guys over at Knob Creek, they say that there's no faking full bourbon flavor, that this is earned. It's what they do in Claremont, and we earn it. We start by selecting the finest grains, and we finish it meticulously, aging our whiskey in white oak barrels with a maximum char for an unmistakable richness. Somebody's doing typey.
I'm sorry. Will it actually pick that
I'm
up?
talking about my bourbon, man. And you're doing? Are you taking notes? Because I'll put this in the show notes for you.
No, I was looking up a water jet company, but it's all good.
Well, I know you enjoy a good glass of bourbon too, but I'll send you the reviews, man. I'll send them to you. So anyway, it's nature's natural way of making bourbon. There's no cheating nature, they say. But I'm going to tell you what I think. Knob Creek, easy enough to drink, clearly well crafted. It's slightly out of balance. It's toasty, roasty, and mostly, and perhaps it indicates the use of some malted rye. I like a little higher malty rye in my bourbon, but hey, they've added some spices in that I can taste in there with that vanilla. While it's not as bright, the spice adds a little bit to that rye. A little earthy, a little herbal. It's soft for its proof. It's 120. But it's tasty, and I'm telling you, after a glass of this, I'm going to be quite warm tonight, and I'm going to sleep well. As well as I did at deer camp last week, and I will tell you, Eric, you know a little bit about campers?
A little bit.
You do know a little bit about you know a lot about burning campers, and you know a little bit about great, wonderful campers, and what's in between. And I slept in a 1991 something or other. Name an old brand. But I slept in a 1991
like an Airstream?
No, it wasn't even that nice. The floor was a piece of 1/4-inch plywood that was replacing what had rotted out years ago. But it had some indoor-outdoor carpet.
Trailer.
What did I say? Camper? Yeah, I slept in an old trailer.
It's like an enclosed trailer with an AC.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. And then we had, when you went to the bathroom, you had to bring a bucket of water in from outside because all the water hoses had cracked over the years.
Yes.
So you had to create your own flush, a bucket brigade to go to the bathroom. But I slept like a baby. I could have just as easily been at a Hyatt or a Hilton or somewhere nice, and it's all because of the Knob Creek. Thank you, Knob Creek. Joe, what you drinking tonight?
I've got a Henry McKenna 10-year bourbon, straight Kentucky bourbon. It's pretty delicious. It's not a rye, but it's definitely smoky.
You've got stills all around you down there in South Louisiana, don't you? And you're drinking Kentucky bourbon. That says a lot.
Yep.
I live in North Alabama. We got stills all around us too. You just can't beat a good aged glass of bourbon. Luke's raising his hand. Luke, what do you want to say about alcohol? Matter of fact, let me card you first. How old are you, buddy?
Pull it up. Here you go. It's close enough. Tonight I am.
All right. 24?
24? Yes, sir.
All right. Are you slinging beers at all?
Right now, I am drinking the champagne of beers. I have myself a Miller High Life. Just something easy, smooth, and relaxing.
Oh, you're on a college budget.
Man, it's delicious. I like a Miller High Life every once in a while.
That's what we used to tell. My drink was like $67, buddy. You're drinking Miller High Life. I remember when I was your age, I was drinking something called Schaefer. We called them Chaffiers because it was like $1.99 a six pack. So, yeah, you're drinking college budget.
I normally
beer.
go with like a Modelo or something like that, but or even I drink some of the beer that comes from the brewery that I work at. But this just happened to be in the fridge and was calling my name.
So if I need a delivery of beer and a growler, you can just run it right on over from Georgia. Do you do Uber beer deliveries?
I wish we did. That would be fantastic, but unfortunately we do not.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pay Eric Rivers. Eric, I'm going to give you $20,000 to run up to Colorado and bring me a truckload of Coors, but you have to be here in 24 hours.
Deal.
I
think I can make that happen.
Eastbound and down, rolling up and trucking. Hey, guys, I will tell you, you don't have to drink bourbon. Eric's drinking water tonight, but I tell you what, if you enjoy a nice glass of American heritage, like Joe and I are drinking tonight, Luke, you're drinking college beer. I tell you what, you certainly can't beat it. We also promised you some knife news tonight. And, hey, I want to let everybody know that we've got Blade Show is kicking off as we speak. So by the time this airs, Blade Show in Utah will have kicked off and been over this weekend. But interestingly enough, we've got great groups out there. I think we've got Ameribraid out there. I'm sure the guys from Broadbeck will probably be there, but you'll have people not as big as the Atlanta show, but you're going to have a whole group of people over here. Matter of fact, they're saying that while it's not as big as its Easter sibling in Atlanta, this year includes Spyderco, Tactile Knife Company, We Knife, and Civi, who are show sponsors with Yongma Designs. Then there are many custom knife makers with luminaries like Jared Osser and a frequent partner in crime, Enrique Pina. Did I say that right, Otis here? Pina.
You did.
Like Pinto.
You know, it's like I didn't say, yeah, but you know how I said jalapeno and y'all made fun of me because I was supposed to say jalapeno. So I just want to make sure I did all right. You're my fact checker. But they're on the docket alongside up-and-comers like Michael Jarvis of Auxiliary Manufacturing. All in all, it's a pretty robust lineup, and tickets are still available. They won't be on Monday, but hopefully people are buying up those tickets last night and supporting Knife Show. Luke, you got to work, not Knife Show, Blade Show, didn't
yes,
you?
Sir.
It's quite an experience, isn't it?
I call it the Knife Makers Disney World. I mean, it's 3 or 4 days, depending on how long you're there, of just pure happiness for us at Pops. We love going to the shows like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just stupid. You know, everybody kept saying bring cash, bring cash, bring cash, and I don't ever carry any cash. And I get there, and I went up to, I think might have been Eric or Otis here was getting ready to buy some beautiful scale material, and I was like, "The guy, do you take a credit card?" And he looked at me like I was stupid. Then I got it. Oh, you can't use credit cards in here because they don't work in here. So next year I'm going to bring a handful of cash. Let's not let that word out, because if the people in the streets of Atlanta know there's that many people walking in with those many hundreds of dollars, it may not be a safe place to be.
Shoot. Blade Show, easiest, one of the safest place to be.
Oh,
Could you imagine trying to rob that? Just get everything thrown at you.
And it would and it wouldn't just be knives. I mean, I saw some jacked up dudes in there, had some hardware going on. You know, it reminds me, I saw a video today, and it was just a Facebook thing, and it's these two guys, and unfortunately there was a death in the video, the things we see these days, but two guys walked into a gun store to rob the guys behind the counter at the gun store of guns. And it lasted all of like 0.8 seconds, and there's two guys laying dead in the floor that came in to do the robbing. And I was just like, they must have gotten bored with 7-Elevens to be that bold.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that work at gun stores they're retired they're vets, they're people from military, police background, all that stuff, and they actually practice with their firearms.
Yes, well, it was unfortunate to see people get likely what they deserved because they didn't have life. They weren't had any respect for life when they went in there pulling guns. But my goodness,
room temperature challenge.
Yes, matter of fact, some guy at the comments made some comment about the guy was going to the two guys laying on the floor were part of the room temperature challenge or something like that. So now I know what he meant.
Yep.
We got some we got a couple things of sad news. I don't know this person, but I did see it come out over the wire. Aaron Hogue, he was one of the owners of Hogue Knives, was killed in September in a crash during the Steel National Championship air races in Reno, Nevada. I actually did hear about that air crash, but didn't know if it was a knife maker. But he was a long-time private pilot, had thousands of hours of flight time, knew what he was doing. And he was at Jet Gold race, and his L-29 crashed on the third lap of the race, and unfortunately he lost his life. Federal Aviation, Federal Aviation's looking into it, and then it says here that the Reno Air Race Association wrote that we express our deepest condolences and sympathies to the pilot's family and friends, as well as racers and race fans who make up their family. So. He founded his company was founded in 1968 by his father. So they've been out a while producing pistol grips and firearms and other accessories for decades. So anyway, our condolences go out to him as part of the knife making community. And we also have one with Pop's Knife Supplies. I don't know if you guys realize, but right before September, at the end of August, we lost James Poplin, who was the original founder of Pop's Knife Supplies and sold it to the 4 owners who are there now, and they paid some most beautiful respect to him on their website. And I know going up to the funeral and such, but Mr. Poplin was one of the reasons that many of us get great deals and great products and services, because that's what he essentially started with his business 42 years ago. But we're sad to see him go. I did actually go out to see the obituaries written about him, and I tell you what, you know when somebody's lived a good life when hundreds of people chiming in on what a blessed man he was and how he blessed other people's lives. So I never got to meet him. Luke, did you ever meet Mr. Poplin?
I did. He was an amazing individual. Like many people in the knife community, they're just riddled with personality. And I'm happy to say that I was able to meet him, and I looked up to him greatly over the years. And I would not be in the position I am now if it wasn't for him. So I'm extremely grateful for what he's done for myself with this business and giving myself the opportunity to work in the establishment, which I do.
You and Don would not be friends if it wasn't for Mr. Poplin. I mean, you look at history and how things come together. If things hadn't taken place and you hadn't gone to work there because of the owners that bought out the business, then you meet Don and you become good friends. You install a red Don phone in the plant so that anytime somebody calls Pops from Don's house, it goes right to that phone and it flashes and he gets what he wants right away. I mean, that's the way love grows.
Life's
man.
good.
It's the way love grows.
Life's good.
It is good, and I say that's the way love grows. It's amazing when a person like Mr. Poplin spreads all of the goodwill and faith and stewardship and things that he was known for. So, kudos and enjoy your paradise, Mr. Poplin. But that's what I got for the news this time. Eric, you got anything on the Knife Maker Challenge? You've been working hard on that. What's going on out in that world right now?
Oh yeah, we got a lot going on. We've got a lot of people that have already completed their builds they look so freaking epic. And then we have a few guys even like myself who are still wrapping a few things up, and we got one guy that won't even be able to start until 4 days from the end. He will have to make his whole entire fantasy build in the last 4 days of the competition, which has got to be scary. But it is what it is when it comes to not having access to your shop, but still saying, you know what, I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna make it happen, and it's pretty cool. But those videos should start rolling out about the 14th, and it's a cool process with this particular this round of the fantasy, or just the build offs in general, because we have 5 people that are basically the top 5 people from the last challenge are going to be in their own category. And part of that was so that Dennis Tyrell didn't win for like another time, but because he's won like all the other ones. But him and 4 other people are in the top 5. And the crazy thing is, the guy who's only going to be building his in the last 4 days is one of the top 5. So he's got to go against people that spent 2 months on their builds, and he's got to compete against them in 4 days. But those top 5 people are going to compete against each other, and then there's 20 others that basically compete against each other, and the viewers vote for, out of the 20, which one they think is the best. And then there's also the top 5 have a chance to vote as well on the 20. So it's like partial credit is from the top 5 people, and the other credits from the actual voting pool from the viewers.
Yeah.
And then the viewers get to compete as well, and we have a whole bunch of viewers that are competing in this particular challenge, and they're showing off their stuff on the YouTube Knife Makers Challenge forum on Facebook. If anybody wants to go check that out, it's just look up YouTube Challenge, and it'll be pretty much the first page that pops up on there. You'll get to see a lot of people's entries that are viewers, and a few little updates from some of the people that are competing in the challenge. And we've got some cool stuff. You got Trolsky making a blade out of a tank barrel. You got
I saw his knife. I saw it.
You got there's one that's probably
something.
Yeah.
Can I say something? I hate to interrupt you, but I have to say this because y'all know that I think he's a very artistic on a audio, video, creative knives, blacksmithing, everything front, just to really be a great guy to have as a neighbor or a friend in town, Eric, your knife is the nicest one I've seen so far. And I know there's going to be some really beautiful artistic knives out there from guys who are known for their masterpieces. But those aren't always the best knife. Sometimes it's the guy that thinks one out and puts one together, and you see the growth. And I tell you what, the current knife that you've made, when people are able to see that as it's coming together, I think that you've topped the Darth Maul. It's just the thought and the design. I don't know how much I can talk about it, so I'm going to stop right there, other than to say I honestly think it's probably one of my favorite knives I've ever seen outside of just the normal type of knife category.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been one of those things where, everybody who's making knives in this particular challenge has had to think outside the box. And a lot of the people who make knives in this challenge are people who make like really nice, traditional, beautiful, clean line knives, and them having to think outside the box to create something that is not crisp and done with like milling machines and all that stuff has definitely been a little bit hard. There's one guy who's making one of my favorite things, and he made this crazy Wolverine like 3-blade claw that's on the end of a gauntlet that has like a wrist cover and all this stuff. It is epic. He did blacksmithing, bladesmithing, all that stuff. And the funny thing is, this is like his second knife thing
Oh, really?
That he's made.
Wow.
Yeah, because he makes all kinds of different stuff. But this is like his second bladed object, and it's this crazy knight looking thing that looks like it should belong in a video game. I think people are gonna like it. Some people are gonna like it. Some people are gonna say that's not a knife, but I don't care. I think it's epic. But it's gonna be a fun
Classic
competition.
phrase. That's not a knife.
Correct.
That's not a knife.
Yeah, this is 3.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, and I'm enjoying these. I don't feel worthy of getting involved in a challenge like that. I know that we can, but it's just amazing to see the creativity going into these. So, hey, Luke, other news out there. You guys have the what is it, the Lion Killer or the?
Yeah, correct. The Lion Killer challenge. It didn't initially start off as a challenge, but as traction grew, it turned into a challenge. If you haven't heard of it before, the Lion Killer is a knife that was wielded by a man in South Africa during the early 1900s. He was on horseback, and he thought he heard 2 deer in the brush in the thicket. It turned out to be 2 lions that were chasing him on his horse. One lion took off after his horse, and then the other lion grabbed him by the shoulder and dragged him into the woods. And the only thing the man had on his side is the knife that we call the Lion Killer. He took this knife and he actually slayed the lion. He stabbed it twice in the chest, and the final blow was to the throat of the lion. And you can actually see this knife now in a museum in South Africa. But Dirk, one of the owners at Pops, reached out to the museum and got a replica drawn as closely as possible of the original Lion Killer. And at Pops, we actually posted that drawing on our website for free download. So any of you viewers out there want to download the Lion Killer, it has a pretty cool story behind it. It's there. It's free for you for the taking. And I've made one for myself. I'm in the process of making another one. I think a couple of you guys on here have already talked about making them. I think I've seen one from Joey already.
Chris Jones made one. Joey, is that one you're holding there? Yeah, Joey doesn't have a good connection tonight. We see his video, so he no talkie, but we can see him. So Joey's not going to talk anymore though, because he's not uploading. Joey said it's something inch and 52/100. How many inches did he say it is?
1/8 inch thick.
Oh, okay, 1/8 inch thick. Yeah, and but with that particular knife, living in North Georgia, you don't have any lions there. You might have some cougars, but how would it work on bears? Do you think you could kill a black bear with that?
I think it would relate pretty well to a black bear.
No, you could.
I think
not.
It would.
I come from the hiking community. You know what the record is for stabs in a black bear before he ate you?
Probably next to none.
None.
Yeah.
Everybody that was eaten by a black bear didn't get him stabbed at all. Of course, most of those hikers are carrying around little pen knives anyway. So maybe
that's why I carry a big one.
Yeah, that's right, Otis here. So maybe you got a market for just call them Appalachian Trail bear killers. There, Luke.
The bear fighting knife.
I'll try to market it that way. It was actually a really fun knife to make. I took a lot of joy into it. Has almost like a spear point look to the blade. But it was so much fun to grind. I did it on 5/32 inch stock with 8670. And I put a full distal taper into it with a tapered tang. So it goes from thin back to thick, back down to thin at the tip. I actually used some wood, some stabilized maple burl that I got from Dawn as my handle material, which turned out beautiful. Thank you for that, by the way, Dawn. With a brass liner on it. It was really pretty. It all turned out really well. I was planning on presenting it to the owners at Pop's Knife Supply as my, what's the term? My graduation knife to give to them so that I'm not an apprentice anymore, so that I'm a maker at Pop's. But I don't think it's quite the quality of which I can reach, so I'm going to keep making and try to reach that quality that I like.
I want to try and make one. I didn't even know that was going on, so I'm gonna look it up, download it, and I'll probably make a video about it.
Sure.
Yeah,
and there you go. All the news, and see the value in the news on the Knives Templars. Yeah, it is a unique story, and it's nice then when I see we get makers involved in similar projects and working together and seeing all the different takes on the a similar knife or certainly the same pattern. So it came out pretty good. Speaking of that, we're going to jump off the news because we're going to talk about what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Otis here, how did that 7-inch buoy come out, buddy?
Didn't happen.
I think I double dog or triple dog dare you, didn't I?
Yeah, but nah, don't worry about it.
I'm just verklempt, man. I'm verklempt.
I've been really busy. The month of September was really hectic. I could barely finish one knife the whole month, and
Yeah.
have a couple of other projects that I have lined up. September was really a little bit stressful getting my son ready for the army and everything.
How's he doing?
He is on his second week of reception. He's going to start his basic on the 27th. So we'll see how happy he is after the 20.
But you're not talking to him at all right now.
We had a 20-minute conversation on Sunday. They gave him his phone for limited amount of time.
What do you have to say?
Oh, he said he's happy. Oh, I'm happy to be here right now. So, like I said,
wonderful.
This is reception, right?
Yeah.
Doing all the medical and dental and closing and feedings, whatever that they do. I don't know, right? Yeah. So his basic is going to start on the 27th. So let's see how happy he is after the 27th.
Oh, he's going to be wonderful. And I'll tell you what, if you go down to Fort Benning to
that's where he is.
To see his graduation, Luke can meet you and drive down there with you. And
it's not too far away from us.
Yeah. So
Luke,
that's where he is. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. If you're going to hang out with Luke, though, you got to let Don know because they've got a special.
Oh yeah.
Special knife making friends bond.
I've been trying to have him up here to our shop here at Pops, but just a little too far of a drive for someone that drove every day for what you said, 30 years, Don?
36.
36.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
He just needs to take his wallet. He just needs to take his wallet out of his pocket and a pillow under his rear end. He'll be fine. We just don't have the padding we used to, do we, Don?
No, we don't.
Oh man. So Otis here. I tell you what, I'm so happy for your son. Your wife doing good overall?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, she was less concerned about everything than me. I have a little bit of a separation anxiety. That's one of the things that I always had, right? And
it's normal when your kids leave home
and going out, especially on the current climate, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah, so one of those things. I always had that in me that I want to go, I want to do those things, but now it's his turn. And honestly, I don't want him to go. So
I understand. Yeah. Hey, Joe, what religion do you belong to? Because, and you don't necessarily have to say, I just see you wearing some type of white yarmulke on your head.
Well, I was raised Presbyterian, so.
I didn't know they wore yarmulkes.
Well, it's not a yarmulke. That would be a paper towel underneath
you're wearing
my sensitive scalp from wearing a headset.
I know what I was like. That guy's got a napkin.
I wasn't
on his
going to
head.
be the first to say anything, but that is pretty.
Yes, it is a napkin. I'm sitting here for an hour and having to readjust this thing constantly. So I figured I'd just put some Louisiana engineered padding.
It's a good look. It's a good look, and I can see it's well engineered. It's well engineered.
It works good.
Well, Otis, sir, I want you to know I met the challenge, baby. I did my first hidden tang knife.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Maybe my last, only because here's my whole take on it. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult making the rectangular hole to fit the tang through. Took my time, got some little diamond files and went through it slowly, and it turned out beautifully. It anchored in just fine. And it's done. And one of the things is I'm not real big on making kitchen knives. So, a culinary knife is just a kitchen knife to me. So, and they're beautiful. I'm not knocking people who make them. It's just not my thing. So when I got done, I was like, yeah, this is really a nice knife. And everybody that's seen it's like, oh, that's a really cool knife. But the one thing I'm wondering about Hidden Tang's knife, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I see that people that use those knives constantly, that's an opportunity for a separation that you don't have with a full tang knife, because you're depending on a mechanical bond that goes back into that handle with the up and down will it slide out. You're wagging your finger. Go ahead. Prove me wrong.
No, I mean, there is no separation if you do your anchoring the right way inside the handle. Once that thing is set, it ain't moving, and you're gonna have to literally break those handles to have anything moving.
Correct.
Forget about it. If you anchor it properly, do some glue traps and a proper fitting that is nice and
Right.
tight fit in there. Forget it, man. Ain't never coming out.
Yeah, and I had ordered one of the tools from Pops. What do you call them there, Luke?
The handle brooch.
The brooch.
The handle brooch. Yeah, I ordered one of those. That worked beautifully, guys. If you're doing hidden tangs and you want a decent brooch, go out and it Pops and find you one of those.
Can I give you a little pinto tip here on fitting the tang into the handle?
Sure.
The way that I do mine, I will drill the slot, and for the width and the depth, close as possible to the final size. Okay, once the tank is starting to fit, but it's not going in all the way, I will do the final fitting with a burning through. Okay, will heat up the tank close to red, and then I'll just shove it in, and that will have a nice tight fit all the way, and it's good enough that you can just yank it out, do your grinding of the handle on the outside, go back, put it in, take it out as many times as you want, and it will not get loose or anything like this. So it's pretty good. Get it nice and tight, get close as possible to your final dimensions, and do a final burning through. It's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. So, Eric, what you've done one or two hidden tanks?
I've done, I think, because I still make knives off camera, so I've done 7 so far now.
Oh, okay.
But the on film I've done, I think, 4.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's this, of course, the fantasy build is a hidden tang as well. But at first, whenever I first started kind of going down the hidden tang rabbit hole, I didn't exactly want to do them, because to me, I like full tang knives, and I was that guy that was, it's full tang knife or bust. And once I made my first one, I thought, wow, this is a lot more complicated and a lot easier than I thought. Yeah. It was complicated because you have to plan everything out.
True.
You're not winging it on a hidden tang. If you want a good fit up, you want your guards to be where they're at, your spacers to be where they're at, your pinhole that you're going to put in your handle. If you want it all straight, you have to like plan ahead. And on a full tang knife, you don't have to do any of that. I mean, you kind of make sure your front of your scales are clean where your ricasso is, slap them bad boys on there and grind them out. It's easy. But what I like about hidden tang knives is you get to see all of the handle. So like if I get this amazing set of blocks from Oleg, or if I get this awesome piece of antler, if I get, these different pieces, I don't want people to only see, a quarter inch of it on just the sides. Yeah, you want them to see the whole thing. And so I like it. Or like my fantasy build that has a bone for the friggin' handle. It would not have had the same impact if I'd have cut it all down and made that scales. You want to see all of the bone. You want it to look like a freaking femur. Mm-hmm. But but for me, the biggest thing was, again, figuring out the planning. And I know that whenever we get into the guard part of talking in this,
Right.
you know, Otis here has awesome little things that he does to get things lined up right. And I've got tips from him, plus tips from Dennis Tyrell with how he marks everything to make it to where you can get your blocks, your handles even with your blade, like how you would actually, you know, let's say you accidentally drill your hole, you know, your square hole that you were talking about. Let's say you accidentally drill it at a
Right.
slight angle, you can still get everything centered back and get all that fixed to where the block is nice and square to the handle. So then you can start doing your guidelines and do everything from where you're going to grind to. But yeah, it's a lot of planning for a hidden tang.
I will tell you, I'm going to do it with a wooden block next time because I did it with antler, and dragging that pith out of the center of an antler, it's a lot loose. Now I had a really tight fit, but it's a lot loose, and you get more, not necessarily what I would call chunks, but you don't get nice, clean shaved edges coming out of there.
Yeah.
And you kind of almost feel like, oh man, I'm really gouging this out inside, even though you're going slow and deliberate in what you're doing. You know, the wood was only a half-inch thick, so that was no big deal to get it squared out, and didn't take any time. I did it with all files. But when I was going in with the what's that tool
The
again?
handle broach.
The broach.
The broach, thank you. When I was going in with that in the antler, it just almost seemed like I was just digging into hard sponge and needed to be very careful with what I was doing. So I'm going to do it on a piece of wood and give it another try because I love Otis Sears handles and I like that style. So I'll give it another try.
Yeah, don't do a burn through on an antler. Not gonna work very well.
And it's stinky.
It's gonna smell real bad.
Yeah, and I'll do it on my type of knife, not necessarily a kitchen knife. I've
yeah,
got a lot
so
of people. Go ahead.
like I said, right? Drill the dimensions of your tang as close as possible to the final dimension, just a hair under.
Yeah.
Right. So the tang will not go into the slot in the handle.
Right.
And then warm up the tang. Have your knife on a nice secure vise, right? And then push the handle in and all the way to the end. It might take you, 2 or 3 heats for you to get it all the way in. But once you get it in there, it's tight. There is no play, and you can pull it out and put the handle back in the tank as many times as you want to do a proper fit, and you can play with it, and it's not gonna be plain. And then what you do to fix the handle in there, mine is very simple. At the tip of the handle, you've seen it before. I just have a little, drill bit hole in there at the very tip, and then on the 4 corners of the tank, little divots as a glue trap. And then you just put your epoxy in there, push it in, let it set, forget it, done.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do one maybe on one of Oleg's blocks of wood, and
on the wood I would try with something cheaper first.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for the vote of confidence.
No, it's just that I don't want to see you waste a nice pretty block. I mean, the first couple of hidden things I've made, I went to the woods and I chopped a branch. Right, and I tried it just just for shits and giggles, right? But I got it done, and okay, I'm confident now that I can do it. So let me move on to something that is a bit more premium. Let's say.
Did I not tell you one of my careers back in Detroit? I was a professional broach operator for a knife handle company.
Oh, I don't doubt this at all.
That's
certified.
So here we go.
On my first one. If y'all watch the video on my first one, I had a guy, Chris Steele, send me this badass Tasmanian myrtle wood from Australia, and that's what I sent it on my first hidden tang. I was just like, okay, he sent it to me for me to do this. I was never going to be able to get that wood again, but I decided, okay, I'll just take my time and figure this thing out. But yeah, it was stressful.
I'm a lot more comfortable playing with expensive pieces of wood these days because Joey sent me some instruction on how to cut up those nice blocks that Oleg makes, and how to make sure you don't accidentally go off sideways and ruin a block. So I have a lot more confidence in that, but I will take your advice, Otis. Here, I think it's well said. But while we're speaking of handles and stuff, let's take a second and talk about our buddy over Otis. Excuse me, not Otis here. He's our buddy, but we want to talk about Oleg over at knife-wood.com. Be right back.
There's an awful lot to say about Oleg over at knife-wood.com. He's been making stabilized wood products for more than 10 years. He's made thousands of blocks and is used by some of the best known knife makers. If you want to get some beautiful stabilized wood that's hardened all the way through, comes wrapped like a Christmas package, and will enhance every blade that you make, you need to get in touch with Oleg over at knife-wood.com or out on Facebook. That's knife-wood.com. Give him a visit, order his products. They'll arrive in a few weeks, and you will be more than happy.
All right. Well, welcome back. We were talking about handles, but let me switch the topic here a little bit. Did y'all see what I used this week for the first time?
Your
sharpener.
I did. And before I say anything, guys, our buddy the Riot, he's got a wonderful upload connection, or excuse me, a wonderful video connection with us tonight, but his upload is not working so well. So we're watching our phones for any feedback he may have. We're going to relay those messages in, and we're glad he's still on the show. But I used that Ameribraid sharpener to put out a little video. Thanks to everybody that told me I needed to wear a respirator, gloves, knight's armor, 12 million other things. And I just took it all off for 2 minutes just to make that one. Actually, I just wear a respirator with that. But I took it off for 2 minutes just to make that particular video because I do have a pretty face now that I've exposed it and removed the beard. It's gotten quite, it's fun to show it off. But all that being said, I will tell you, those guys at Ameribraid have put out a wonderful product, and I was just scared to use it. I was going to tear up a knife. And once I put that 2x2 piece of steel in there and set my angle on the rest bar, used an angle gauge just to, I guess you could use an iPhone electronic angle gauge, but I have an analog one. I put it on that bar and set it at around 19 degrees, and I just chose 19. But when I started running it across that belt and realized I could come up just a little bit faster, I sharpened a knife from an unfinished edge in 2 minutes. And then I ended up stropping it on a handheld strop I've got. So I'm going to get a stropping belt next, like Eric has got, because I know that makes them, I guess, razor sharp. Yeah, I've got a wooden strop like you're holding up there, Luke. But I'm going to get a stropping belt, whether it's a 72 or a 1x30 that I put on the little 1x30 I've got, because I don't know if I love Lanskys, but I don't know if I'll get them out, because taking 45 minutes to an hour to put an edge on a knife versus 2 minutes, and it's a beautiful edge. I was just like, wow. So you guys, I know we've all got ways, and we've talked about sharpening before, but go out and check my video out there on YouTube. I've put a YouTube video up of it at Shegman Kniver on YouTube, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can find it there. But I finally got my brass marbles and put them where they go, and used it, and was very, very, very happy with it. That's all I got to say about that.
It looked awesome.
Don,
I sat there and watched you do that, and I thought, all right, I want one of those. Yes, I do.
No, that's not what you said. You're like, that idiot doesn't deserve that. Package that up and send it to me. His knives aren't nice enough for that.
I do want it though.
Yeah. You just don't deserve that, Chip. Send it to me. Talk to those guys over to Ameribraid. I'm sure even if you've got to get a 2x2 or a 1.5 inch, there's something you can probably do. It's just a great concept. Don, what do you got to say about it?
I made one. I made a sharper.
You did. It was beautiful.
Before Eric came, for Ameribraid came out with one, because I talked to Eric at Ameribraid, and they said they were looking at some things, so I went ahead and made one. And Luke's seen it, because I sharpened his knife on it. And
you sharpened my knife when I came by.
Yeah, it's the same setup, but I use but that belt, that 2x72 leather belt with green oxide. You will have to run that backwards when you cut it out.
So you don't slice it.
Yeah, you don't waste $52. That's a $52 mistake.
Yeah, I will tell you, I did not run it. I did not run it backwards. I just ran it forward. And I don't have a problem running it backwards. I just started and it was doing just great. But I did think that if you're dealing with somebody and that knife starts getting an edge on it, you really don't need to be running it forward. You're going to slice a belt. Certainly leather will bite in.
Well, you know, that's called edge leading. Where you sharpen your bow is called edge leading, or you go edge trailing. When you run it backwards, it's edge trailing. And some people like the edge leading versus edge trailing. And but man, you get you a leather sharpen belt for that. I showed Luke. He said, "Man, you got one of these?" I said, "Yeah, I know. You packed it and sent it to me, man, years ago." But it does. It takes the burr off, man. I mean, it really does a good job. In quick time.
Yeah.
It'll polish the edge real nice too.
Yes.
It really will.
I bet. Did you let him use your Pops phone down there to call and talk to McKenna up at Pops? So he just felt like to be on the other side of it?
I was forced to by McKenna to FaceTime her whenever I got down there to a shop because she wanted to say hello and meet the train himself.
Yeah. That was great.
Why in the world has McKenna never sent you over to see me?
I plead the fifth.
I mean, I gave McKenna a hug at Knife Show, told her how great she is as a person, and she's like the nicest person in the world. But again, this is not a good show for me. This is twice now. I'm a little sad.
You'll just have to reach out to her and ask for her when you call up the Pops.
Well, hey, you know, we were talking about those guys in AmeriBraid and the great products they make, so let's take an opportunity to talk about not only their knife sharpener, but what they have to offer in the way of grinders. We'll be right back.
Hey, listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is AmeriBraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at AmeriBraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years. And it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give AmeriBraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, AmeriBraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
All right, so go check those guys out at ameribraid.com, and I guarantee you, you will get a machine that you are proud of. There's lots of great machines out there, guys. But if I had to choose between 1 or 2 machines, AmeriBraid's always going to be at the top. It's going to be number 1 with me every time. You know what time it is, Luke?
What time is it?
Oh, come on, Luke. Where do you work?
It's Pops time.
It's Pops time. Pops Maker's Mark. And we've got our buddy, Joe Dees. He's been contributing a little bit. He wore a nice, he's put on a very nice headgear tonight for his thing. I don't know. Are the aliens flying over your house tonight? Is that what it is? Is that an alien mind-reading barrier?
It's not tinfoil.
Okay.
That's on the rabbit ears.
Well, you're an engineer. I didn't know.
It's a Yamakin.
It's a headset paper towel padding. Yeah.
Pops Maker's Mark, and Joey is off the air tonight. We can see him. Wave, Joey, so everybody out there that can hear us can not see you.
He's there.
We see him. But Joey went to the is it the Louisiana Knife Show? Is that what it was called, Joe?
Yes, he's nodding.
And yeah, he's nodding. And Joe, were you presenting and selling your wares at the knife show?
I had a table.
Okay.
For show. Yep.
Yeah, and he came back and he's like, you got to get this guy on the show. He was like super impressed. It's almost like he had a new best friend. Is he showing up at your house or anything yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Well, I'll just say Joey's listening. So Joey, he's an engineer. So if you need any help in the Tobot business, I know an engineer. I know an engineer that can help you, lives nearby. But you've been making knives for how long, bud?
Since 2017 is kind of when I bought all the equipment and decided it was the thing that I needed to do with my life. And so yeah, that was about it. Since
you've made your first knife as a young man. I've read online, I believe, correct?
Yes, I don't know where you quite read that. It was in college when I cut out my.
It was on OnlyFans. On your bio on OnlyFans.
Oh, okay, all right, awesome. Wonderful, yeah.
I think I was reading your website. You had on the website where you wrote that thing about me and put a really nice picture of yourself.
Yep.
That's where it was.
I got you. Okay, so my first knife actually was a Gene Martin knife. He profiled it and heat treated it and sent it to me to finish.
Yeah.
And that was in 2015, I guess. As a young man, or a young boy, I carried whatever cheap pocket knife, I could afford. But my grandfather gave me one of his knives, and it was a Camulus 1986, I want to say, one of those multi-tool, almost a Swiss Army, but not.
Right.
And I carried that for several years through Boy Scouts. And I don't know, that was it. I upgraded to a Benchmade Nitrous Striker Assisted, which I still carry today. And let's see if you can hear it.
I do. Those are nice blades.
Yeah, that was given to me by my wife in 2009, and I looked at that and I said, man, I got to do something with this eventually. So eventually happened. And when we were getting married, Gene Martin, that's a really long story. I was going to make knives for all my groomsmen, but that didn't end up working out. And but he did contact me, and I got one of his blades, and I finished it out, and I said, well, I'm hooked. So you can attribute my start to a few friends and Gene Martin for making some blades to send me that were already heat treated because I did not have the equipment.
Yeah. So I've been to your website, and you are extremely talented knife maker. What do you attribute that to? I mean, a lot of us guys, we find out that, we all suffer from depression, anxiety. We're trying to find something. I'm joking, but we are those creative minds. So is there something else you've done besides knives that were creative? I find a lot of people have actually done other things that were creative.
Oh, not really. Growing up, I was in Scouts. I shot archery, tournament archery, and knives. And knives have just always been in my life, and used them every day, and wanted to put my mark on what I thought was a knife out there, and people seem to like it. So I'm here making what I can and when I can through part time with work and family. So
yeah. It's a good, I find that knife making is a great, I tell some people, knife making is my mental health, and they're like, what, are you crazy or something? And I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm not suffering from anything. It's just that we need something in our lives as a creative outlet to let us put away the troubles of the day or this, that, and the other. And it's something that you can certainly just wrap your mind around at that moment, and nothing else really matters. And then we just find out how talented and creative some of us are. And looking at your knives, there's such wonderful detail, not only in the steel and the finishing of it, but even just like looking at your handles. It just seems there's so much detail, and maybe that's the engineer in you.
Well, thank you.
It's
OCD,
immaculate.
To some degree, I'm not.
Oh, there you go. That's where it came out. We're depressed, anxiety, OCD.
Yeah,
I'm OCD.
So handles I take to minimum 800 grit with then Dasa Rhino Wet sandpaper, and then buff them out. Some of the ones on the website are up to 1500. But I mean, that's it. It's nothing too extravagant, other than getting all the scratches out. You can't progress grits and not go back one or two grits, with every knife.
Right.
You got to get everything out. So that's what I'm about. Fit and finish. with a knife is everything as far as a handmade custom knife. That's what folks are looking for. So, that's what I'm looking for when I make one as well.
Right. And you said something that was kind of cool there, and it's something that I do, and I don't know if it's what you're referring to or not, but when I go to sand something, I always take it higher than I intend to stop at, and then I back it back down. And I always tend to acquire the finish I was looking for when I do that, whether it's steel or wood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it really gives you a nice uniform finish. Joey was texting me and said that you're a wood collector like his, that you really put a lot of value in the quality and finding good pieces of wood.
Yes, I do. My wife, I think, she's questioning whether I'm a knife maker or a wood hoarder. I have drawers and drawers of wood and stabilized wood, unstabilized wood. So,
do you do your own stabilization, or?
I do not do my own. If I find a piece that I really like that is not stabilized, I send it to K&G.
Gotcha. Yeah,
those guys do a great job.
Very well known. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've sent them a box or two in the past.
So where's the furthest you've ever sent a knife?
As far as someone purchasing?
Distance, yeah.
California.
Okay, yeah, across the country. I can see it.
It is. It's across the country. And they got, so I kind of have two tracks I'm going down. One is the custom world, and then one is what I'm calling jet knives.
I saw them.
And that is a CNC cut knife, CNC cut handle, and then fit and finished, contoured by hand, ground. The blade is still obviously ground by hand, and with a Kydex sheath, and that's what went to California. So,
they're beautiful knives. Now, are you using a jig, or are you freehanding most of your grinds, or how are you?
So I freehand everything. Mike Stewart from Ecom Knives has a YouTube video out there on hollow grinding. I think he also has a flat grinding video. But that just really connected with me when I was doing all my knife research back in 2017, 2018 timeframe. When I was really getting into this, he was also coming to the point of putting out quite a few very informative YouTube videos.
Right.
And so I just said, well, I need to learn how to freehand, because that's going to let me do what I want to with the grind, with the top of the grind. And so that's what I did. Focused on that.
You've got 4 children, so have you got them involved, like, folding up product boxes or doing sharpening or anything like that?
No, not yet. So they're 10, 5, 4, and 10, 5, 4, and 1.5. So the 4-year-old actually, she has personally hand sanded one of the knives that I finished.
Do you still have that knife?
No, it got sold. So that was one of the backwoods skinners that I have made.
Those are nice.
Somebody, I forgot exactly who that was, but you had a 3-year-old hand sanding your knife.
Now, do you guys have any questions? I'm kind of jumping all over this conversation because I love his work, but what about you guys?
So you got an Instagram?
I do. It's Joseph's Edged Tools.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Same as the website, Joseph's Edged Tools, LLC.com.
And you got a new customer, I guess. Don, you going to go out and make some purchases tonight? You going to buy Luke something for Christmas?
Might. You don't ever know, man. You don't ever know.
Yeah. You can never have too many knives.
That's right.
But how do you guys feel about that? I've got one of Otis Sears' knives. I treasure it. Nobody will ever get it out of my cold, dead hands. But my point is how do you feel about owning somebody else's knives as a knife maker?
Before making knives, I was a knife collector for since I was for over 20 years. I mean, I've been collecting knives for forever, and before that's the hardest part about me being a knife maker is trying to be a knife seller whenever I want to keep every single thing that I make, because I go, oh, I'm going to make something really cool, and then I've got to sell it to somebody. I'm going to make this one of a kind thing and give it to somebody else. And one of the best parts about being a knife maker is anytime you see somebody make a knife that you think is absolutely awesome, you can make that knife.
There you go.
That's one of the coolest parts about it. But I have a lot of people's knives. Love them.
Well, Joe was holding up somebody's knife there. Whose knife do you have there, Joe?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you all read that?
Says Shegman Kniver. Yeah,
really?
Cool. How'd you get that?
So this was purchased at the Louisiana Knife Show. So we've got another member who had a table there, J.W. Terrio.
The old Terrio,
I picked it up because it was way underpriced for.
It was one. Oh, he won. That's how he won the most affordable knife for the money. Oh no, Chris stole that.
That's Chris. Yeah.
Speaking of Joey, he wanted me to ask a question on behalf of him. He wanted to ask, where did you get your inspiration from?
I don't know. I think it was internal. Something I always wanted to do, and it's the artistic outlet that we need. Some people have music, some people have, I guess, art. Drawing, whatnot. But making knives really lets me form steel, lets me work with my hands, work with power tools, which is always
burn your
fun.
fingers. Burn
my fingers.
Skin your
100%
knuckles.
Burn fingers. And, washing dishes now is a lot easier. So my wife is like, well, I'm glad you're working on the grinder so you can now wash the dishes with hot water.
Don's like, hey, Chip, you and I both do all of those hobbies. We've got guitars, we've got artwork, we've got knives, but we're old enough to have collected all these hobbies and moved on. And that's interesting you say that. I think it's a great artistic outlet. And the fact that you've got one of Joey's knives, I know how that feels having one of Otis series. Of course, Eric's got one as well. Don hasn't sent me a knife. I'm not quite sure why, but the whole thing is that it wasn't a joke, Don. It was a statement, Don. No, Joey is just so extremely talented, especially with that butterscotch paper or whatever it was that he probably won't part with.
Butterscotch paper? You have butterscotch paper?
Paper Marcarta or something. It was beautiful.
I got a question here from Joey to Joe. Any particular maker that you look up to that gives you some sort of inspiration, or do you that you like Mr. Chip there? He got a little thing for our friend from Poland. Anybody that you look up to?
So several people have influenced my designs and my take on knives. Gene Martin, of course, who kind of got me started. Locally, we have Smith & Sons knives, which is a more of a batch manufacturing type. But they have really helped me in my, in this journey. I've been able to go to their shop and ask them questions, and they've been very forthcoming with answers, as is most knife folks in the knife world, I guess. But the list is very long. Todd Begg, Stan Wilson, Walter Soros, David Boyett, Jeff Ellis, Josh Fisher, Karis Fisher, Zach Jonas, Chad Pirtle. He's an amazing leather crafter. If y'all hadn't heard of him before. Pirtle Made on Instagram. John Connor, Red Meadow Knives up in Montana. Tim Knotts, he's also up in Montana. It's really been able to connect with a lot of people throughout the community. So
you got a list there.
Yeah, there's a lot of influence.
That's wonderful.
I'm reading straight off my website. I posted kind of a paragraph on folks who have helped me in this journey, in what I tried to do as a chronological order, which I think is kind of cool. And I'm just adding to it,
right,
as years go. But
well, you also said something about, I've just kind of always wanted to do that. And I remember for several years, I would sit and take pieces of wood when I was making fishing lures and stuff, because that was my old gig as well. And every once in a while I'd have a flat piece of stock, and I would sit and try and just grind out something that was knife-like with it. And I have probably ground 24 wooden knives over the years that ended up who knows where. But yeah, it was one of those things that was just kind of something I always wanted to try, and somebody asked me at the right time. I was willing to go spend the money and the supplies to try it once, and then was completely hooked.
So when I was, my parents trusted me with a knife when my grandfather gave me his, and maybe that was too young of an age. I was somewhere between 5 and 7. I don't really remember. But I would carve knife handles because I couldn't make the actual knife, but I could make, 5 to 7 is definitely when you need a knife, 100%. But I couldn't make a knife, but I could make a knife handle. And I would carve finger groove knife handles from sticks I found in the woods and that kind of thing. I have a box somewhere still at my parents' house, I think, of all of that old work I did. But anyways,
yeah,
it's been from the beginning.
Well,
yeah, man, that's cool.
I will tell you that you're an extremely talented maker, and as we do on every episode, you've basically given us your resume. We've had a chance to see your website and slide into your Instagram, and I've had enough of this bourbon now that I'm feeling pretty positive about you. I don't feel threatened because you're such a great maker. You're a much better maker than me, but
I don't know about that.
I don't feel threatened enough to let you into the club. So, guys, let's take a vote. Jody's is up for full-fledged membership into the Knives Templars. Joey, I'm asking you, Joey, so you'll have to let us know online. Also, Otis here, what do you say?
Yeah, man.
Don?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that was enthusiastic. Eric?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Joey said, "Shamalama ding dong, ooh wee, yep."
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of some 50s rock and roll and Cajun all in one right there. So, but I did get the yep out of it. Well, man, we're glad you're on the show and want you to stick around with us. But we want people to go out and visit your site and see what you do. You're such a talented maker, so. Go ahead and give us that website and your Instagram again, as well as your own Facebook. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's Joseph's Edged Tools, LLC.com. And then Facebook and Instagram is just Joseph's Edged Tools.
Good deal. And you heard that. It's LLC.com. So cut yourself, and you ain't going to take everything he's got because he's limited liability.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah. Knives are sharp. You buy a knife, it's sharp. I mean, come on.
It will cut. It will cut.
Right. That's right.
So excellent. Well, welcome to the show and welcome to the Knives Templars, and thanks for being one of us. We didn't ask you. Did you want in?
Yes, I would like in.
We'll send you this.
I was offended from the headgear conversation earlier.
See, interesting when you say that. You're going to get an official certificate, and you're also going to get a bandana for your head.
Oh boy, awesome! I get to post that.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. So let's move on to some questions we have for this week. And we have the first one in here from Lawrence G. And that's all I got here. And he says, guys, I'm buying a forge, and I would like to put a thermocouple in it. It will be used primarily for forging carbon steel, Damascus, and San Mai. I don't have any idea what I need, where to get it, or how much it costs. So before we answer that, I want you guys to think about it, because right now we're going to take a moment to talk about our buddies over at Majestic Forge. Be right back.
Majestic Forge is owned and operated by Brian and Kayla Horn in Rushville, Ohio. With many years of experience manufacturing 2 to 5 burner gas forges, Majestic Forge is your #1 source for blacksmith forges, farrier forges, and specialty forges. They are dedicated to creating top-of-the-line forges at a price you can afford. Majestic Forge has supplied forges to blacksmith schools, high schools, colleges, production shops, and TV shows such as Mythbusters. And Majestic Forge is the forge of choice for televisions forged in fire. Knife makers are in luck as they offer forges that come with 2 or 3 deluxe burners. Here at Knives Templars, we are sure that you can find a USA-made Majestic Forge to suit your needs. Check out your next forge at majesticforge.com.
So, guys, welcome back. And I tell you what, Joey and I have Majestic Forge. I'm not sure about the rest of you on here, but I tell you what, it's a fine piece of equipment. And that's coming from a guy who used to forge in coal. So, I can tell you real quick, it was a nice step up in what I do. And the consistency and how well that they will heat up the steel is just a wonderful piece of equipment. But getting back, Lawrence said he was going to buy a forge and he'd like to put a thermocouple in it. It'd be used primarily for forging carbon steel, Damascus, and San Mai. What are you guys thinking about a forge with a thermocouple? That's not something I've done at this point. I've got a little heat gun that I shoot that Eric recommended, but what do you guys suggest there? And Joey's raising his hand. He can't talk, so he's going to chime in on our instant messenger. But anyway, go ahead. Somebody else take this real quick while he's putting something in.
I've tried the whole thermocoupler thing and the forge. When it boils down to it, that stuff is great if you're trying to keep a specific temp, which is still very hard to moderate in a propane forge. I mean, it's just, is it easier to handle than coal? Yes, of course, by default. But when it boils down to it, kind of save the thermocouplers for things like your tempering ovens, if you're going to do a fancy tempering oven, or the heat treating ovens and things like that. When it comes to a forge, you're only going to be able to fine tune it so much, and you can figure out what the temp of it is purely off of a laser thermometer. So it's not one of those things that you really need to try and get too scientific on. So I would say thermocoupler, unnecessary.
So you would, Joey's saying that he uses a temp gun and a K-type coupler on his. But if you're wanting those precise of temperatures, I guess, would you probably go more towards an oven rather than a forge?
Yeah. When it boils down to it, if you're trying to forge weld still and you want to make sure you're at like 2200 degrees or something like that, and your laser thermometer doesn't go up to that temp, which a high temp one will go up to like 2600 or 3000. So you should be fine there. But if you're trying to stay within like certain consistent things, then maybe it'll be fine. But I'll have to ask Joey for this, how often he actually uses his thermocoupler whenever he's using his forge.
I see his thumb's going typey right now.
But for me, again, it would just be the laser thermometer, being able to handle that and making sure I was good and within the certain temps that I wanted to be. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, he said Joey uses both.
What about you, Joe? Go ahead.
Yeah, Joey just said that he uses both K-type, and then he also uses the gun. So that's pretty cool. That's good.
Yeah, he says he doesn't use it anymore at all since he got the temp gun. But what about you, Joe? Are you using a forge or an oven?
I have an even heat.
Oh, wow.
Oven. So I use that for one-offs, and if I have a batch of knives that I'm making, I normally send that to Bose Heat Treating.
Just so everybody knows, we are not sponsored by Even Heat. So if you go to buy something from them and you put in the code Even Heat 0, you will get 0 off on oven. I'm sure you can find some type of code out there. But we do recommend the oven. It's a great oven.
You can always get them at Pops as well.
Yeah.
So if you say Luke 20, the owners of Pops will charge Luke 20% out of his paycheck to cover for your discount.
I already don't make enough because I spend it all on supplies.
All right, so Luke says that's no deal, boys, no deal. Let's jump into another one here. Here's a guy with a nice name. His name is Mudbug Forge, and he says, "Do you?" What are you laughing for? Them guys in Louisiana know what a mud bug is.
Oh, mud bug.
And here in Alabama, we know what a mud bug is too. Do you know of any plans for a vertical stand for a portable bandsaw? I was looking at getting a portable bandsaw from Harbor Freight, but I need to make a vertical stand and making a new larger material table in place of the guide bar. And all I'm going to really say there is you can make one. I know Matthew Rich sent me some plans for one, and they're not difficult to make. But you can save yourself all the grief and everything of figuring it out and get you a nice foot pedal for about $160 for a swag table.
Correct.
Oh yeah,
Swag table's the way to
100%
go.
worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, every
And
one that
it's-
I've seen that's made out of wood is nice. Go ahead.
It's built like they make them for the specific porta bandsaws, so you'll get the right one for what you're going to be doing it with. It's perfectly flat, it's square. I mean, it's absolutely worth it. Now, I would say just get the table. You don't need the actual stand. You can make that out of wood if you want to. The actual thing that you're gonna, you can attach the table to.
On. Yeah.
Yeah, I made mine out of wood, and it was that saved me a bunch of money. But the actual table itself, man, that's absolutely worth it. Save yourself a bunch of grief and headache.
Yeah, I'm not even going to recommend making your table because I bought the Swag Off-Road, and Joey has the same Swag Off-Road, and we recommend that one.
I probably have the same one too.
Yeah, whether you get it painted or mine's not painted, but I do keep I'll wipe it down with some oil occasionally just to keep it oiled up. But
the paint doesn't last anyways.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good to know. I didn't know that. But
Wipe
here's the whole
everything
thing.
down with oil.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of our lives. I go through a lot of oil wiping down things, especially making sure that all the steel pieces are kept protected. But yeah, I'm not even going to recommend building your own stand. Like Eric said, you can build your uprights for the table to sit on, but swag table is just the industry standard as far as I'm concerned. Turning a portable bandsaw into a vertical metal bandsaw. I guess you could make a medical bandsaw of it if you had to do an amputation or something, but I don't know. I'm not going to go there. All right, now we've got somebody that's not by the name of Mudbug. Its name is, no, this is funny. It's Brett. Brett says, hello, all. He says again, I'm Brett from St. Augustine, Florida. Do you know Brett down there, Don?
No, not yet. Not yet.
All right. He says, I forged my first knife in a class a couple weeks ago, and I am hooked. I enjoy working with my hands and learning new skills. I've read a lot about anvils and forges. I can't afford to buy anything at once. Anything else I should be looking at? I don't want to cheap out and end up buying the stuff twice. So he's specifically mentioning forges and anvils. So I'm going to address the anvil part of it. If you're a new guy and you're wanting to learn how to forge, you don't need to go out and spend a ton of money on a forge unless you've got the money. If you don't, go out and get yourself a forged or go out and get yourself a cast steel anvil off of Amazon. I've got one. I've got friends that have them. They're beautiful. I've been beating on it, and there ain't hardly a dent in it for over a year now. And you can find them. Mine's like 110 pounds is the one I got. I paid less than $200 for it. So it's forged steel, and it's just a wonderful anvil. Now, down the road, if I want to find a used anvil or go buy a North Carolina anvil or something like that, I may do it. But right now it's done everything I need to. Don't go buy a Harbor Freight anvil.
Hey, I owned my first anvil was our Harbor Freight anvil, and I made a few knives off that thing. I'll tell you, the base that the anvil sits on cost more than the anvil. So that was definitely interesting. But whenever I decide to take that anvil off of it, I'll have a really nice base. But that 2x12 base that I have that's all sandwiched together, that's a beast. But again, it costs more than the anvil. But once I was able to get my hands on
you could resell
my
that thing
for
in this day and age. You could resell that base for about $6,000 cost of wood. And I think in your videos I've seen your Harbor Freight, and I've got a Harbor Freight stuck down as well. When I took a ball peen to it, I just dented it all up, just trying to I was just beating things to see what happens when you beat steel. But like I said, those cast steel anvils are from overseas. I don't know if they're from Italy or whatever, but they're just really nice. So yeah, Otis here.
As a matter of fact, I just ordered one, 132 pounder cast steel. Should be here sometime next week. I want to start doing some hammer pounding. Now that the moon is almost full here, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be doing some forging now.
Does the anvil have to be pointed north?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And don't forget the loincloth.
Please. It is the Halloween season, so full moon, Halloween. Otis here pounding the steel out in the. I just don't want to picture it.
Loincloth.
Yeah, loincloth. Excuse me. I do have a short.
Fans only available.
Yeah, we do have a photoshopped version of Otis here pounding steel out in the, in his loincloth.
Yeah, so I now that you mentioned it, I just ordered it, so I'm waiting any day now via FedEx.
Yeah.
And then
how much was the
let's see what I can come up with. I'm gonna be let's see what I can make. I really want to start grabbing some of them leaf springs and some coil springs that I have laying around in the shop and making stuff out of them.
Did you get yours off of Amazon? You said
no.
Oh.
I went. I found a different shop.
Oh, I think I got mine off Amazon. He was talking about the shipping cost. I don't know what you paid for shipping costs, but
nothing.
With Amazon, I didn't pay any shipping costs for it because of the cost.
Daggum.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
worth and that's what mine was, 130 pound one as well.
Yeah, 132 pounder.
Yeah,
so
it's like
paid for your whole Prime membership.
60 kilos.
Yeah.
Y'all want to know what a non-forger knife maker uses an anvil for?
Setting your bourbon on?
As a work rest? Paperweight?
Yeah. Well, I do have a 25-pound grizzly anvil, and it's pretty fantastic.
Just for pins?
Harbor Freight would probably work as well. No, I drill holes in the top of it, and I use it to peen bolster pins.
Yep.
It's at the back side of that bolster.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah, and that's actually what I probably have used my anvil most for is peening bolster pins and then flipping it over and getting the other side.
Yep.
I use mine to forge a bunch of stuff.
8-inch hole was great.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna be getting
when
to
it boils down
you,
to
Eric,
it
later. I want some pointers there.
Whenever I finish this fantasy thing, I'm starting a whole forge series on just forging to profile, forging to shape, forging to finish, all kinds of different stuff. So y'all are people are gonna have a blast watching that. But for that question, because they asked two parts, anvil, forge. If you're going to get a forge, I do suggest, if you're not super mechanically inclined, to just buy one. You can buy inexpensive ones off of Amazon that are 1 burner, 2 burner, 3 burner. Just buy one so that you're not trying to work your way through making your own burners, because you don't want to blow yourself up or try and do stuff like that. But just buy an inexpensive forge and buy an inexpensive anvil, because you don't know if you're going to want to do it. And
the cost isn't that much for those things.
Yes.
When you go out to to upgrade, it's not like you're spending a ton moving up. And what you find is if you've got an older forge or you've got an older anvil, you're still going to use it for something, even if it's a tool rest. It's things can be reused. And what I have found is I've gifted things to inspired knife makers that I don't use anymore. Mm-hmm. My forge now belongs to somebody else. It's out twisting steel and beating on steel, and it's just in love with the cowboy forge side of it, and is tickled. So it was nice to gift that. Yeah, Otis here.
So before we move on to another topic, I have a small bone to pick, right, with the whole forging thing.
A Warwick's bone?
Yeah. and maybe Eric can shine a light on it. Okay. So this week I was watching a couple of videos on YouTube, and I will not name names because it doesn't really matter. But I saw this dude. He started off with a perfectly flat stock, probably a quarter-inch thick by around 2 inches wide, yay large, yay long, right? And okay, he's gonna make a knife, so perfect stock. And then he started, put it into the fire and beating that perfect stock into a knife tip, and then beating the ricasso and the tang, right? Okay. Afterwards, he goes and he slaps that thing on a surface grinder and he resurfaced the whole thing back to flat. What's the point? It's like me going to a bakery, buying a perfectly looking cake, stuffing my fist in it, and trying to remake the cake. I mean, you already have the flat stock in there. Just cut off your profile and do it. I mean, what's the point? When I start forging sometime next week, I will be starting from a round stock, from an axle, from a over thick piece of leaf spring or something like that. I mean, what is the point of forging a perfect stock? I mean, it already comes annealed, soft, no need for normalizing, and then after beating it, oh, let me do 3 normalizing cycles. Okay, you need to do normalizing. But again, I see it when you start with an odd shaped piece of steel. Why do it on a flat stock, a perfect, let's say, Pops 8670, quarter-inch thick? I'm making a buoy. Why would I beat that into a buoy shape when I can just cut it off?
Because you can say you forged it.
So,
nah.
I think that's really it.
Hold on. So what you do is you can say that it was a hand forged knife, and I'm going to tell you the reason behind that is because there's this common misconception because 200,000 people watched Forged in Fire and they heard the phrase, this is forged in fire, not grind in fire. And it absolutely screwed their mentality. People don't realize that every single knife you buy from Academy, Walmart, hell, Target, I don't give a damn, Cabela's, every single one of those knives are stock removal. Every single one of them. None of them are forged knives. And they'll say,
"You're telling me that the Forged in Fire culinary series, the Forged in Fire culinary series at Walmart are stock removal."
100%. Those are CNC.
I'm taking them back.
So
taking them back.
The deal is everybody has this common misconception. So have you ever watched a video that had like 20 million views and it was a guy who just happened to take a piece of steel, grind it out, turn it into a knife, and it was making a knife with simple tools. And it has like 20 million views and it'll have 1,000 comments on it. 75% of the comments are people saying, you didn't make a knife, you didn't forge it, that's not how you really make a knife, all you did was make a knife-shaped object or some BS like that.
Yep.
People are so confused as to how all these knives come to exist around them.
I can tell you that Luke just personally delivered over 4 feet of quarter-inch 8670 to my house. And I will be forging it because I will be heating it up and beating it down on an edge.
Got to make that tuna knife.
And, for me, it's a fun process.
Yeah, got 2 tuna knives to make. Yeah.
I mean, I don't discount that it is fun. And like I said, I want to do it and I will start doing it sometime next week. However, I will start from a big old fat round stock from an axle or from a leaf spring or a coil spring, somewhere along those lines.
But not everybody's got access to this shall not pass, so I'm going to take
Well,
it.
you can always grab a hacksaw and remove your neighbor's hacksaw. He'll never know.
I think that it's easier for you. These leaf springs shall not pass.
Hey, I'll tell you right now. As soon as your friends find out that you make knives, they'll be doing everything in their power to give you leaf springs and
I have so many leaf
springs.
I have so many leaf springs in my shop right now. If people show up with them, I just I'll cuss them and tell them to leave with them. I don't need
Okay, because it's a thing, right? It's an issue because I can take this and I can say, "Oh, I hand forged it." I mean, who would be able to tell? Really, who would be able to tell?
I wouldn't.
You can't tell the difference.
I hand forged
Well, you
it.
can
and
tell. You can tell. You know what's really cool is you see the guys that hand forge a knife down to the edge and then just sharpen the edge. You can tell those, and they're beautiful knives. But
yes, that is called.
But that's just one. That's one style. That's one style.
That's called the brute de forge. Okay, I understand that, and I see the beauty, and I like it.
You're gonna get that with the series that I'm doing.
Just picture. Okay, you go to a bakery, you buy a nice birthday cake, you come home, stuff your fist in it, and try to remake the cake. I see no point in it.
I agree with you. You're good there. So have you taken your medicine tonight, Otis?
I'm on my second bottle.
Otis, here, you need another pill. Take another pill.
No.
That was a good conversation. I dig it.
I love that. I love it.
It really
when
is.
He slapped that thing on the surface grinder and resurfaced the whole thing back to smooth. I mean, I say, what is the point? Why did you go through all those steps, right? Couldn't you just cut off your profile, grind the thing into a knife, do the heat treating without compromising the grain of the steel?
Yeah.
By heating and beating.
A lot of people just need that gratification that they've beat on it, and I think that's really what it is. It's just what makes them feel good about what they're doing. But like Eric said, he's got an entire series coming out on his the Rivers Experience OnlyFans site. So when he does that, you'll be able to see everything he has to say. So let's take a moment and talk about the Rivers Experience. Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? You know, many go to the books and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, you know, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor, and I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. So we're back, and I will tell you, Otis here, that's probably one of the one of the best conversations we've had in a long time on this. I mean, because there's passion in what you're saying. I certainly see both sides of it, but I definitely see your side of it. And people messing up something that they know structurally what they've got, because when you get an axle or a leaf spring or a gun turret off of a tank, you're trying to determine what you're working with, and sometimes you're going to try and heat treat that, and it's not what you thought it was. But certainly makes a lot of sense. I think people just need the satisfaction of beating the steel. Sometimes makes them feel good about what they do.
All right.
Yep. Luke,
just had to get that out of my chest.
And it's good. It's good. I see hair coming back on your head now.
Yeah, right. Little
it's
bit.
Good
right
when you let all that stress out. Luke, thank you for delivering that 8670 to my house.
Of course,
I'm looking forward to making them tuna cleavers.
As soon as I saw the truck backing up to our back door at the shop, I was like, "This is chip steel. It's here. It's coming." And of course, I'm the muscle at the shop. So whenever we get a pallet of steel or anything like that in, I have to unload all of it. And guess where your steel was on that pallet?
The bottom?
The very bottom.
What does McKenna do at the shop? Just give you orders?
No. Not. I mean, we tag team things. We're a team at Pops. Uh-huh. So she does a lot of the G10 and the fiber liner cutting, and I'm going to do a lot more of the the pin stock cutting, the sheet good cutting, and unloading of steel. We both do a bunch of the grunt work, but just different aspects.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had to go through about 4,000 pounds of steel before I finally got to yours.
Well, I'm glad you got there, and I'm glad you delivered it. And I asked my wife, I said, would you get that off the porch? And she was like, it's heavy. And I was like, well, that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, we're all flashing our knives at each other right now on the podcast, and there's a variety of different.
So do you know what Joey Terrio's knife is made out of?
Jerry, it looks like 8670. It looks like a lion killer. and Otis here's got a piece of trash steel bottle opener.
I do have a little story about the whole forging thing with 8670. So, one of my good friends, he has Bracken blades forged. Logan
Bracken.
So we were at Blade Show. Yeah, Logan. We were at Blade Show. I think this one was Texas, and we went by the Pops booth, of course, and we were scooping up some 8670, and he was telling me, yeah, this stuff forges amazingly, and I don't know which one of the guys was there, but he was like, yeah, it does, but why would you do that? It was like, I think it forges amazingly. He was like, yeah, but this steel is like built so you don't have to do that. Like the whole point behind it is so that you can just work it and get it done.
You know what
it's
else
not necessary.
That Pops Knife Supply steel will also tear up some steel cutting blades because it'll dull them, because that stuff, when it hardens, you got to when you start cutting, you better keep cutting, because if you let that edge air harden, you got to start rolling in the steel, and I'm fine. It doesn't really tear up the blades, but I tell you what, that stuff hardens beautifully. Matter of fact, let's take a second and talk about our buddies over at Pops.
Pops Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers: Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives. Make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
Man, I've heard gas, I've heard keyboards, I've heard farts, dropping bombs. I mean, what's going on tonight, guys? Is this like, are y'all like old time radio doing like sound effects? I mean, that was definitely a fart right there on it.
I need some pinto sauce for my chair. It sounds a little,
nobody needs any pinto sauce. Your sauce generator's full of pinto sauce tonight. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that in there. Welcome back.
So,
anybody else got anything to get out of your gastrointestinal tract before we move forward? Belches, burps, keyboards, fall out of your chair.
I'm out of medicine.
Otis, here, go get you another bottle of medicine.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, I'm not even, we'll save some questions for next time. Let's talk about the next section, which is the art of sanding to desired finishes. I hate sanding. I'm going to let you guys talk about this. I can sand, but I hate sanding. Go right ahead. Otis, you're a good hander. You're a good sander. Tell us all about it.
I don't hate it. For me, it's therapeutic, actually. You just zone out, go from grit to the final grit that you want, and take your time. Just make sure that every finer grit removes the previous, and you'll be good. Just If you want to do a satin finish, your final grit has to go along the blade, not across it. And then rub some Scotch Brite pads, one constant pull, and nice clean finish. I mean, not much to it.
Yeah, but
I just take my time. Usually, on a large knife, it takes me about 3.5 hours of hand sanding. I just sit there, put some music in my earpiece, and forget about it and take your time.
If you don't want to do a lot of sanding, you need to do a lot of acid etching.
Right. A lot of acid etching and stone
acid
washing.
etch. I mean, if you're not,
yes.
Well, if you don't sand it to a fine enough grit and you just do the acid etching, you're gonna have a lot of scratches left and it's visible.
Right.
And it's an okay look, but it's not great. It's not something that me personally I'm looking for.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, Luke, when are they going to come out with the Luke Berry sanding block? Because everybody's got their own little sanding bar, their own little sanding whatever.
So I use a used file. I sand it on both sides so it's smooth, so it's not scratching anything.
Yeah.
And one side I glued a piece of leather. And when I need something really, really flat, I will use the side without the leather, sandpaper, get it done. And when I'm a bit of a contour, or some of my sharpening actually is done while hand sanding. So I will bring it all the way to the very edge after I do the convexing. So you need to be careful there as well. And that I will do with the leather side.
I attempted to do, I don't know if everybody does. I tried to use a Scotch Brite belt to do all my sanding for me, and that will beat up a knife real quick. It'll start making waves and all kinds of stuff. But that's what I've got. I've actually got a piece of steel that's 1/4 inch thick and about a 1/2 inch wide that I put tape on both sides of it to make handles, and I just use that to run back and forth, and it does what I need it to. But I just need something that's perfect
y'all
that Pops makes that'll cut it down to about 30 seconds.
I mean, surely y'all have seen, if you've watched any of my videos, I use like 4 or 5 different backers. And it really depends on the type of finish that I'm getting. And it depends on how sharp I want my transition lines. Depends on what section of the blade I'm sanding. Like with Otisir's knives, his plunge line going from his ricasso into his bevels is like a freaking 90-degree angle. It is like the sharpest thing. You could probably cut yourself on the edge of that ricasso. Like, it is sharp, and I love that aspect of it. But those things, they take time to get in there and sand those little areas. But the biggest thing for me is just make sure you're using the right type of backer whenever you're doing it. If you want to get super crisp lines, use a hard backer. If you want to massage the lines, use a softer backer. Whether you're going to use a sanding pad or use leather, and do whatever is comfortable. So if you're going to have some type of thing, make sure that thing is not beating up your hands. So something that's comfy. What you got, Odyssey?
Yeah, so I use like I said before, I used a file. Not using it anymore. So what I did is I sanded all 4 sides of the file. 2 flats and the two edges. Make sure that everything is smooth, so you're not scratching anything. And that's it. I mean, not a lot of secret to it, man. It's just time and persistence. Just take your time. Take your time.
What about you, Joe? What are you doing as far as your sanding goes?
So hand sanding used to be a piece of wood. I use actually one of the sanding buddies that Kyle Daly makes. I drank that Kool-Aid, and it works pretty good for my purposes. But we've talked about sanding. What about stoning? Do any of y'all use stones?
Yes.
So that's a necessity in my book.
I picked up on that watching a Trollski video and use the stones until I get it up to about 1,000 grit, and then I go to 400, 500 grit paper, and then start sanding it out from there.
So,
Yeah, for
what
sure.
stones
That's
are y'all
gonna get you
using?
a really good finish and get all those scratches out of there.
I'm just using the ones I buy on Amazon. I'll give you the exact name. They're red stones, but they're typically they're polishing stones. I guess you could also use the ones that people purchase for knife sharpeners, but the ones I buy are used for like tool and die makers to set and refine metal edges or metal dies and stuff.
Yeah, so
You'll be putting some water or oil in there when you're using the stones?
Yeah, I use Windex.
Mine are actually impregnated with oil, and they work great. I use this Trin lapping fluid. That's a diamond lapping fluid on the knife. It just takes a drop of it, and the stones and the Rhino wet sandpaper work great with that. It's the same thing as using Windex or WD-40, but I just found really good results with the diamond lapping fluid. Sorry, talking about these headsets is getting some weird stuff in my. Anyways.
That's a good point, and I might end up trying those out and seeing how they go.
Done a lot of hand sanding as well, so.
Yeah, I just think there's no fast way to sanding. You just have to learn how to do it. And I think we mentioned it early on the show. One thing that's a good thing to do is take it up beyond where you want it and then back it back down, and you get the most consistent finish. Otis here said something that I've done before too. Finally go over it. I do it by hand with Scotch-Brite pads to set and clean it up from there. And you just have to experiment till you get the finish you want. I did fall in love with a little bit of the acid etching and stone washing because it takes a lot out of hand sanding. It's an easy way to get a really beautiful finish without having to do it. But last couple knives I finished, culinary knife, and then another one that I hand ground that the gentleman wanted it natural finish, and just did the same thing. Stones, took it up, used some paper, and then started sanding it back down to where I wanted it to be.
So I want you to try something. I don't know if you guys want to try it. I've been doing this now on my last 3 knives. I did it. After my final grit, it is done. I will do a little etching on ferric chloride. 5-10 minutes in there. Take it out, clean it, and then and only then I will use the Scotch-Brite pad. It gives a nice light gray finish, not as shiny as the steel itself.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed. I mean, I sent you guys some pictures in the in our private chat. That little Nesmuk with the greenish handle, and that finish there was done with the. I think I had a 600 grit, acid. Take it out, neutralize it, and then Scotch-Brite it. Okay, so it's the lines that you're gonna get with the Scotch-Brite is super crisp. You can see every little detail there, and you have some spots that stays darker, especially around the ricasso where the pad is not going right there inside the plunge line. It gives some nice pull lines in there and no J hooking. So try that.
Yeah. Hey, just to go back to those stones, I think Joey or somebody sent them to us, but these are the ones I have. It's like $15 for a set, 12 stones, and they graduate up from like 120 all the way up to 12 or 1500. But they're called Seabright White Corundum stones. They're on Amazon. And then there's another one called Cheerbright 7-piece wet stone set sharpening oil stone kit. Kind of like Joe was saying, that they're the ones that have some of the oil in them. And you can use oil. I've used Windex. And if you want to see some videos on people using that stone, I know that Trollski has put out some videos on using the wet stones before he switches over to Rhino Wet or whatever sandpaper he's using.
Happen to not have any Windex at hand, light soapy water will work as well.
it's
keep
good
that from
advice.
oxidizing while you're sanding.
There's a Templar's tip. There you go. Thank you, Otis here. Hey, listen, while we're talking about sanding, let's just jump in and talk about our friends over at Phoenix Abrasives. We'll be right back.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino Wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code TEMPLARS10 for 10% off your next order.
All right, guys. Well, we're running close to 2 hours, but I want to get this in here real quick. And I know that Otis here makes some great bolsters, and Joey and Eric and everything. I've done bolsters just basically where I've cut brass plate to shape and sanded it in and peened it in with brass rod. But what is the way of making really nice bolsters? Otis, so you do it from a hidden tank perspective. So what do you say?
Practice. Do it more. I mean, the first one I did, I grounded the wrong way. I mean, I don't know, man. I took those classes that I told you guys in the previous episodes, and I've been going and doing the way my teacher showed me. But basically, there you gotta drill your tang hole, right? I think that's the name. Tang
Does that
slot.
hurt when you drill your tang hole?
Tang hole,
Don't be drilling my tang hole. Pudding tang.
Make sure you drill a smaller size than what you're gonna need.
Right.
And take it with the file, and little by little,
Here's
until
a good
you
question.
get a final fit.
Give me a Templar's tip. I went to Harbor Freight when I just had to file out this wood ebony for what I did, and they had some diamond ones for $6.99. They had the regular ones for $4.99, and I found the $4.99 ones. I broke two, and the grooved edges I didn't look like they were spray painted on there. They disappeared over time. So, what are you guys using in the way of files for filing this material away?
The needle files, I got it off of Snap-on. The little larger ones, I went to Home Depot.
Finance them?
Got it in there. But you want to work fast, for you connect your little drill bits, your holes from your drill bits. I use a Dremel with a carbide bit. Cuts right through as close as possible. As soon as my file starts to fit in, forget the Dremel and hit it with the file, and take it slow. Slow.
I would say if you're wanting to do this work, probably Harbor Freight's not the best place to get
Nope,
your files.
not at all.
Because
I mean,
the ones I
had those, and I had one break as I was pushing in. Almost took my.
I thought I'd done that too. My finger.
Yep. It was close.
Yeah. And for $4.99 for something around the house, I guess they're fine. But we need something that's a little sturdier.
They're not.
Harder,
don't ever get them.
Yeah. So you don't end up with that.
Nope.
So that was an issue.
Nicholson's the way to go.
Yeah, those are good.
You stick the end of it in a golf ball, and you're good to go.
Nicholson files.
Use the golf ball as the handle.
And Joey's showing us his Nicholson files. He has no voice, but he has video.
They're 100% worth it. That's all I use is those.
I'll have to look them up.
One of the biggest issues that you're gonna find when fitting a guard or a bolster on a hidden tank is the shoulder connection at your ricasso. I've seen a lot of people where they do it, and when you look at it, there's a gap in between the ricasso and the guard or the bolster, and it's all right. I mean, if that's your thing, it's cool. But the way to remedy those things is a good file guide, so you can start working on those shoulders. Recess it a little bit. Make sure that you have a nice crisp shoulders on every castle before you start working with the bolsters or your guards. And then just make sure that the face of the guard that's going to meet your castle is perfectly flat as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Eric, what do you do? What on yours? Are you basically doing the sandwich and peening?
So, bolsters.
Never done one of those.
I don't do many of them, but yes, I've done the sandwich and peen, and then I've also done the cut a slot out of it for like a guard and fit that around the ricasso and peen that in. So done it both ways. But
it's not difficult, but what I have find that it's important to tell knife makers is that have a command of both pieces on both sides of that knife. So whether you've got to use a small clamp, what are the clamps that we use? The ones that screw in from the side?
Twist can't.
Can't twist
clamp
to hold it in place, because you really don't even need to use any glue there if you peen it just right. What I do is I will open up the both ends a little bit just to give something for that to mushroom out into, as well as what it's doing through the extent of the hole through the knife. If you can get those held together tightly and just use a small ball peen and just kind of start rounding them off and get them spread out in there, they're never going to come off as far as I'm concerned.
No, you got to cut them off. Tapering if you're doing a sandwich style bolster, you really need to go in there with a taper. That way you have a positive mechanical connection throughout the whole bolster. I've only done a few metal bolstered knives. I've done more with my Carta and whatnot, but that's fairly simple. Speaking just to the metal, everything's got to be flat. Everything's got to be clean, especially if you're going to go sandwich two bolsters on the side of a knife. If it's not clean, you're going to have you're going to see a black line, and you want to do away with that. When you go up to 1,000 grit on your spine, you don't want to see a difference between the bolster and your blade, other than the difference in metal color from a heat treated blade to like a 316 or a 416 bolster. Tony Severio, he's one of my good friends. He's out of Baton Rouge. He's really helped me as far as metal bolsters go. And the first bolster I put on a knife, I used his advice, and it came out almost perfectly. Tapered the holes, made everything flat, and peened it on my wonderful Grizzly 25-pound anvil.
What I have found also that's very important is using your 1, 2, 3 blocks, have a dependable vise. And when you're drilling your holes, use good drills. Make sure you've got clean, straight drills through. Because, when you peen them in, you can only get them to spread so far. And, nothing's more disappointing is to get it all ground back down after you've done finishing the knife and you've got that little gap where the pins just show, because there's just a micro gap in there. I've been fortunate enough to be able to finish and polish them out where you can't even see the pins, other than maybe some slight color variance from one metal to the other using similar metals. But you need to be very precise and just have good equipment. It's nothing I'm going to take a hand drill to or anything else like that. You got to be able to hold that still and get it in true.
That's right.
You made a good point, making sure it's perfectly flat and so on. So let's take a minute and let's talk about our friend Sarah. She makes nice scale materials, a lot of hybrid type scales, segmented scales, and a lot of exotic materials. And she's a good friend of the show. So let's talk about Sarah over at Sikowski Scales.
As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski Scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
So you can also visit her at scalesbysarah.com, and she and Chris Jones put that domain name together so that you'd be able to get to her site a little bit easier in spelling Sikowski. So scalesbysarah.com, and go take a look at what she's got to offer. I know Joey uses quite a bit of her material along with other people in the knife making community. They say if you see her stuff in person, you're going to want to make Christmas ornaments out of it, much less put it on knives. So guys, what's coming up next couple weeks? Otis here?
I'm waiting on that anvil. I'm going to be warming up some rejected lift springs, and I'm going to try to beat something into shape. It's going to be my first one on that style. Maybe not a leaf spring, but maybe some round stock from an axle or something. I will not be ruining a perfectly flat stock. So that's where I'll be going next.
Get
so
you another
we'll
bottle. Get you another bottle. You're falling back off.
I'm out. So that's what I have looking into. So yeah.
Well, continue blessings for your son and everything that he's doing as well. Like I told you guys at the beginning of the show, I think I've been to deer camp this past weekend. I'm looking forward to that. I've got someone that's going to let me borrow a crossbow for this year, so I'll be ready for next season on that. But I've sighted in my 308, and it's ready to go for gun season. And the good thing is, when I was down there, I lost count on the number of turkeys I saw, so I cannot wait for the spring turkey hunt there.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. You go for the deer, the turkey shows up.
Yep, I know that they won't be there in the spring, but man, I was excited. Everywhere I turned, there was turkeys flying up in the trees from me spooking them. But I did have a friend that introduced me to a Smith & Wesson Governor. So I'm going to be checking one of those out this weekend. Shoots 410s and 45s. And I'm also going, I don't care what you say, Otis, it's what I want. All right, well, fine. What are you going to get? You got the judge? I mean, because the difference between the judge and the governor is only a quarter-inch 410 shell. So I'm going to be looking at that, and I'm also going to be getting me a SIG compact 9mm I'm looking at right now. So thank you for everybody that's buying knives. You're enabling me to go out and feed my other growing passion. In addition to that, I've got a culinary knife to make for a friend that's been waiting for 2 years. I've got a hunting knife to make for a friend from North Carolina, and then I've got to make the 2 tuna cleavers, and then I've got something else after that lined up. I'm lined up until end of December, but anyway, that's all I got going on. Eric, you're going to be making forging videos, and what else, brother?
So before I say what I've got going on, I'm gonna say what Joey's been doing. He said that he's been super busy since the last show, and that he was super humbled by that thing, and that he's gotten a lot of orders for leather work and knives, which he's super grateful for, and that he's been busy filling those orders and making a culinary set for somebody. And I think that's really cool that he was able to go to that show and actually build that confidence in the fact that he does make amazing knives. That's pretty cool, and that he got some good orders off of that.
I mean, he is like the most talented leather guy, one of the most I know, and who would have known
amazing.
it? Pisses me
leather
off.
Work. Yeah, absolutely, just gorgeous stuff. I aspire to be like that one of these days with my leather work. It's going to be pretty cool. We'll see if I ever get there.
I'm going to start a rumor that he did like the Beatles did back in the 70s and got on LSD, and all of his artwork started coming out in all that leather. So he's just a druggie making beautiful leather. No, I'm joking.
Beautiful leather.
he's extremely, extremely talented with his Herman Oak leather. Beautiful, beautiful work.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eric, I cut you off.
And
Herman Oak's key.
No, for me, I just gotta wrap up this fantasy build, get it knocked out. I'll be finishing the last couple of touches tomorrow and start working on the sheath for it. That I have to do the sheath. If I don't do the sheath, it doesn't give the full feel of the style of knife that this is. So I mean, it's got to have it. So I'm going to be busting my butt on that. Then after that, it's going to be forging, getting to use my new shop, and I've still got a couple of things to do. I've got to hang a couple of doors, and I got to hang a door and then build 2 doors. But once those are done, it's just going to be moving everything into that shop and putting in work, getting back to all the normalcy. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm seeing if we can get a special guest on here. Y'all hear the phone ringing?
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
Joey, answer the phone. He don't know how to answer the phone. Poor guy. I was trying to get him on here so he could at least say something through my microphone, and he's just sitting there going, I think he's playing solitaire on his phone.
He's playing Snake.
Oh, wait. He's trying. Here we go. Joey Riot, are you with us, brother? Hello?
Put it on speaker.
It is on speaker. What do you think? I'm 58 years old?
Yeah.
Joey. Yeah, we can hear. I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Well, say something while we can barely hear you.
I can hear him.
I just wanted to tell y'all, thank y'all, and Eric, thanks for speaking off the message. I'm unfortunate listeners, I haven't been able to talk.
Hey, just a second, Joey. Just a second. Hey, Joe, what are you doing the next couple of weeks while I get this knucklehead back on the phone again?
All right. Working. That's it. Work and kids. I've got some knives in the work that I need to get finished for a guy who's got 5 hunting knives that he wants for some buddies. And that's kind of what's on the table. So if I can get those done by Christmas, I will be very happy with myself.
Isn't it something? Do you guys ever I just want to do one-offs and I don't want any orders, and then you find yourself back in that rut again? Got a bunch of knives to make for people.
That is a good problem to have.
It is.
Yeah, it is. All right, so here, let's see if we can get him on here now.
We can hear the phone ringing a lot better.
Yeah, he looks confused. I'm thinking, now, why is Eric Rivers on the phone?
Because you're calling me.
Just a second. I just called Eric. All right, Joey, I gave you my number. You can call me.
What I hope.
Let's see.
I mean, I don't know if all this is going to be in this particular episode, but there's been a lot of absolute.
Oh, it's
awesome
going to be in there. It's going to be in there. Why not? We've got Beavers farting. We've got Otis here fell off of his meds and went off on a rant. Joey's disconnected. Don's been hurricaned. Right. Joe is on the phone with Joe right now. We can see on video. Luke has turned his. All right, here we go.
You are.
Give it your best shot, buddy.
No, I just wanted to thank you guys for chiming in for me tonight. Unfortunately, I had a snafu missing, but I don't know what's going on. But I just want to thank you guys. Eric, thank you. Oster, thank you. Chip, thank you for chiming in. Luke and Don, thank you. Joe, thank you. Sorry I wasn't able to speak tonight, but no, I just wanted to thank you guys for. We've been chatting back and forth through the chat messaging. And I just want to thank you guys for speaking up for me. Thank you.
Is that an Academy Award speech or what?
Yeah.
I would like to thank you guys for speaking up on how wonderful I am. Yeah, you are wonderful, buddy, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm still here. You're still live. Oh, you Riverside. His podcast went out, guys. Joey.
Well, yeah, Joey's got.
We missed you, but
yeah.
So what? Tell Joey that. Yeah. Tell Joey this though. Tell Joey. All right.
Hang on, Joey.
Yeah, Joey. Incoming. Eric Rivers is going to get his friend Elon Musk, who put some Starlink over at his house, is going to bring some down to Louisiana, where I think the alligators are having to relay your internet service down there.
We're getting the Starlink from Elon. I am signed up for that, by the way. So hopefully in the future that'll work out for us. Joey, have a good night, man.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
We'll see you, Joey. Hey, Luke, what you got going on? You're bouncing on and off the internet tonight, too. What's going on with you, brother? What you got going on the next couple of weeks?
All I can do is blame McKenna for her very poor Wi-Fi. But my next couple of weeks just consist of trying to get all of my ducks in a row. I have multiple different batches of knives in multiple different stages. I have a couple that are needing just the finishing touches. I got some that are ready for glue up. I have some that I just heat treated. So just more of the same, I guess. Just trying to make as many knives as possible with the little amount of time.
You going to be drinking any more of that champagne and beers, or did we make enough fun of you that you'll go out and buy something real?
I'm not going to change my habits. Not saying it's a habit, but I'm not going to change my taste.
I got you. Well, guys, we've said it all tonight. We've got it all out. We've got through all the technical troubles. And you know what? We did a lot of laughing because of it, so I'm just going to leave it in here, and we'll just see how it rolls. We'll see y'all next time on the Knives Templars.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right, here we are, the after show. that was a fun experience, wasn't it?
That was full of nothing but problems. For me. I mean, how many times did I have to?
I don't know, but we're going to have a good time trying to get all your uploads in.
So,
we are
all 42 of them.
I know.
Yeah.
After
Go ahead, Joe.
Hurricane Laura,
I just kept coming
Suddenly
in and out.
wouldn't connect us for like months, and for their, I don't know, from their perspective and the community's perspective, wrongdoing from not connecting people, they gave everybody 1 gig internet for $50 a month for life of being in the house. Because so that's what I'm operating off of. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and you actually have one of the. You and Otis here have like the best connections.
That won't be the case when we move. That's really what's going on. Is we're trying to build a house, and once that's done, then you'll see knives come out of the shop. But until then, it's going to be rough.
Yeah. Well, we was bouncing all around
boxes.
tonight. I see. Explains it. And then I see you've got your box holder back there, which would be where typically most treadmills end up holding stuff up or to the side. Yeah.
That's that Nordic Track free stride.
Ooh, Nordic Track.
Oh yeah,
man. So everybody that's still listening. Yeah, everybody that's still listening to this doesn't realize that we recorded 35, 40 minutes of the first episode. Then we went back and redid it again. And I don't know, we are committed to getting out good entertainment, because we've spent 3 hours of bouncing on and off and somebody's gastrointestinal attack. Somebody's had a
It doesn't want to do it now, but this chair over here that I have,
Joe was going down to grab Yeah, when Joe was going down to get the pencils, it sounded like, missiles coming into the United States. Every time Luke got excited and started rocking in that chair, Yeah, good that good that Otis here ran out of beers because he's popping beers. Eric, was that you farting, or was that I don't know? Somebody's making.
I'm
fart
pretty
noises.
sure that
It
was
must have
Luke's
been Luke.
chair.
We'll blame it on. Yeah, Luke's chair was making fart noises.
It was me.
I'm sitting here. Things are popping on the phone because every time something happens, everybody's telling me, "Oh, we got to do this." You know, it's just, and we made it through.
The amount of messenger.
You
chimes.
have to call this episode the bloopers.
So what is the name of this episode based on what we went through the night?
Yamakin.
I think bloopers.
It could be that. It could be
Yamakin.
What was that? What was that? 2001: Space Odyssey. What did Hal keep telling him? What are you doing, Dave? What are you doing? So, I don't know. We'll call it technical Nah, we don't want to do that. Nobody will listen to it. We'll call it Murphy's Law. I don't know. It was fun though. It was fun.
Yeah, cool.
It always is.
I'll take Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law and Luke's gastrointestinal issues.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't believe it was the chair.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit the stop recording button about now.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.